Hey there. Today I'd like to invite you to have a look at this book with me. It's called Atlas der Sternbilder. It's a book of star constellations. It's one of my favorite books that I own, and I'll show you why in a moment. The way it works is that they've ordered the constellations by month, so like January, February, March, April, etc. And they tell you which constellations you can see at that time of the year. I also like the sound the pages make. So what's special about the photography in this book is that oftentimes when you have an image of the night sky, it's difficult to actually see the constellations because there are so many different objects and stars. And right here there's a famous constellation that I'm sure all of you would recognize, but it's really hard to see. So they've used a special technique so you can actually see the constellations as you would be able to see them here on Earth. And then it's easy to notice the brightest stars. And there you go. Here's the Big Dipper. And when you look back, when you know it's there, you can see it's right here. But this is, of course, a lot clearer. Today there are 88 sort of official constellations, and a lot of these go back to some that have been used since antiquity. You probably know the ones from the zodiac: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpius, Sagittarius, Capricornus, Aquarius, and Pisces. Then there are some northern constellations like Ursa Minor and Ursa Major, and the Big Dipper here is part of Ursa Major. Then there's Draco, Cepheus, Bootes, Corona Borealis, Hercules, Lyra, Cygnus, Cassiopeia, Perseus, Auriga, Ophiuchus, Serpens, Sagitta, Aquila, Delphinus, Nicoleus, Pegasus, Andromeda, and Triangulum. And somewhat further south, such as Cetus, Orion, Eridanus, Lepus, Canis Major and Canis Minor, Argo, Hydra, Crater, Corvus, Centaurus, Lupus, Hera, Corona Australis, and Pisces Astrenus. I think in English you mostly use these Latin designations. In German it's more common to use German names for them, so you have a better idea what they are, I think. But I'm sure you know some of these Latin words too, such as Draco, which means dragon, Corvus, which is a raven, Lupus is a wolf. You know names like Hercules or Pegasus, Andromeda. So these are the 48 constellations from antiquity. And as far as I know, they're all still in use except for Argo. This used to be a ship, and today it's been split up into 3 different constellations. I can show you a bit later in one of the next videos. So, as you might know, you see different constellations depending on where you are, whether you're in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere. You look out at different parts of the night sky. And it also depends on the season, because the Earth moves around the sun. So you look out into different parts of the sky again. Right now, we're in late summer here where I live. I'm about here in the northern hemisphere. And I'd like to show you some of the stars that are coming up now and that are really nicely visible. Right, here's an overview of all the different constellations, all 88 of them. Here are the ones around the North Pole and here around the South Pole. And the ones I would like to show you, let's see, where are they? These are the summer stars. Then here's Pegasus. We're gonna have a look at this today. These are the winter stars. They're very beautiful. I'll show you next time. Down here is Argo, Vela, Puppis, Antlia, Pixies. I think these 4. Maybe Carina, I'm gonna have to check. This used to be Argo, the ship. And up here we have the constellations I'd like to show you today. Cassiopeia, Andromeda, Perseus, Cepheus, and Pegasus. So let's have a look where they are. So here's Pegasus, but I think we're going to start with a different constellation. Let's start here with Cassiopeia. So, the way this works, on the left side, you have the same photo as over here, but they add all the information on how to find the constellations. They show you how the stars are meant to be connected. They add the names of some of the stars. Not all of them have names, but some do. And they also show you some other objects in the night sky that you might find in certain catalogs. For example, these here, M52 or M76, M34. These are from a catalogue from a French astronomer called Charles Messier, the Messier catalogue. Right, so here's Cassiopeia. There's Segen, Rukba, Se, Shadir, Kaf. 5 bright stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can tell it looks a little bit like a W. If, like me, you live in a city where there's quite a lot of light, also during the night, you might not be able to see the Milky Way the way it's depicted here. And obviously that's a bit sad that you can't see the full night sky. But if you're trying to learn the constellations, I think that can actually be to your advantage, because the stars that you're looking for are all the more visible without sort of any kind of visual background noise. So there's Cassiopeia. You might wonder about the name. This is from Greek mythology. She was said to be the queen of Ethiopia. And up here is her husband, Cepheus, the king of Ethiopia. Let's see if we can find all the stars. There's Alpha, Beta, up here, down there, and the 5th star. Looks a little bit like a house, don't you think? But it's meant to show a man on a throne, just like Cassiopeia is the queen on a throne. Here's a better image of Cassiopeia, and here is an illustration. Obviously that's very artistic. And what's interesting about Cepheus, it's not a particularly bright or noticeable constellation, but there are some interesting stars in there, such as this one. It's called Beta Cephei. Hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. And it is a pulsating star, so it varies in brightness over time. And this is quite important for astronomy because it varies over a stable period, and that means if you track the luminosity and the kurz schneiden. And the pulsation period, you can track how far away stellar objects are from Earth. There's a whole class of stars named after the star here, Cepheus. Right. Then let's have a look at this one here, Perseus. If you're familiar with Greek mythology, you probably know Perseus as the hero who slayed the Medusa. see, the brightest star is this one here. So it's designated with alpha. The second brightest star is here. That would be beta. So it goes down here. Argo. And another one. Up here. Here. And here. And here. Down to these bright stars, past the California Nebula, and here's the last one. Looks a little like this, with his legs out, and the sword raised up, and he's holding the head of the Medusa. You might remember the Medusa had snakes as her hair, and her gaze could turn you to stone. Now, down here, this is interesting. This would be her head, the second brightest star in the constellation, Algol. It was also called the Devil's Star because it's the eye of the Medusa. And this too is a star that pulsates, but it's for a different reason. This is actually a system of 3 different stars that rotate around each other very closely and very quickly. It only takes less than 3 days. And during those 3 days, the stars that aren't as bright obscure the brighter one. So for about 10 hours, it becomes less bright. That's why it's called the Devil's Star. And this is a good constellation to know and to find, because every year, the end of July, start of August, there's a meteor shower. It's a comet that passes by. It's called Swift Tuttle. And you can see the meteors in this area of the night sky. So, the reason these constellations are together is this. The queen and king of Ethiopia had a daughter called Andromeda. She's right here, the brightest star, Alpha. Up here, second brightest star. And it is said that Andromeda was meant to be sacrificed to a sea monster, Cetus. But Perseus turned up just in time and rescued her. So that's why they're here together. And here's another one of these M objects that I mentioned earlier. M31. And that's a galaxy, the Andromeda galaxy. It's a spiral galaxy. And it is the closest big galaxy to ours. And it's actually quite easy to see in the night sky. You don't need a fancy telescope for it. If you know where to look, you can find it. Right. Now, we were talking about the Medusa. It said that Perseus cut her head off. And then out of the blood, something quite remarkable happened that I think can only happen in mythology. It said that a horse jumped out. Not just any horse, but this one here, Pegasus. A horse with wings. This is quite a large constellation, but the stars aren't all too bright, so it might not be that easy to find. But you see, up here is Andromeda, up here is Cassiopeia, and here's Cepheus. So let's see, there's the brightest star, Marca, you might notice that the names of these constellations are in Latin, but the names of the stars are a different language. These are derived from Arabic, from the Arabic astronomers of the Middle Ages. Now, if you're unsure how to see a horse here, this is the body, and I think this is meant to be the neck and the head, so it's upside down. And here would be the legs. Right. There's one more constellation I'd like to show you today, and that is the sea monster that was meant to eat Andromeda, I guess. I don't know what it was meant to do. Let's see where we find it. Here's Andromeda, Cassiopeia, Cepheus, Perseus, Aries, Perseus, triangle, and there. Cetus, page 188. There we are. So you see Pegasus is up here. So the constellations we looked at would be up here. Then in between there's the zodiac. There's Pisces and Aries. Taurus would be here, but we want to look at this one. And you also notice there's a very, very bright constellation, very bright object here. That's not part of the stars, that's Saturn. It's one of the planets of our solar system. Alright, so here is the sea monster. Let's see, where's the brightest star? Up here. Mira, see if we can find it over here. So here's Minka. Up here, over there, and down here. I think that's the head. Then we go here, and then there's Mira, but Mira's not very bright. There's the next star. So let's see, somewhere in between here. Bright red star. You see this here? Oh, so it's here. Mira. Translated, Mira means the wonderful. So it goes like this, and down here, and these are a bit easier. And up there, down here, like this, and maybe this is meant to be a leg or a fin. Looks a bit like a giraffe with this long neck. Right, if you're looking at the night sky and you're wondering whether you can tell if this is a planet or a star, it's usually easy to tell once you have an idea what the constellations look like, and you'll quickly find out which ones are the brightest stars, so you can tell if one of them is in the wrong location. But if you want to make sure, there's also plenty of apps or other ways online where you can check what your night sky looks like right now, and they'll tell you these kinds of things. So let's have another look. The constellations we had a look at today was this one here, Cassiopeia, the Queen of Ethiopia, her husband, Cepheus, then their daughter, Andromeda, the sea monster Cetus that Andromeda was meant to be sacrificed to, and the hero who saved her, Perseus, with the head of the Medusa. And out of the head of the Medusa we had the winged horse, Pegasus. Alright. So I hope this was interesting to you. If you'd like to have a look at these other constellations as well, let me know. I'd be happy to make more of these videos. Okay. See you next time.